What's the deal, La Familia? You know who it is, the Don of La Familia, the one, the only, the Don Tony Teflon. I'm up in here, and since I am solo, you will get the full screen version of the Don tonight. All night. Phone lines will be open from the beginning, so y'all can call right in and talk to me. And we're going to cook on this whole situation. Let me just say what up to everybody out here still rocking with us, even though the season is over. That is very much the long night, and we got a long night, almost 2 years before that even jumps off and everything else, right? Almost 2 years before that jumps off. And so we got some time. We're going to go over these theories. We're going to touch on everything. And listen, I'm here for it. Because I see in the comment section a lot of people saying, "Oh, Tony Teflon, you know, these people say what they say, and some of the things you're saying ain't what it is." And it's that's not the case. And we're going to talk about it. But before we do, let me say what up to the people who are joining us right now. We got right now Sonic Your Boy, or is rocking with us. William is in the building rocking with us. The Casanova Pugilist is in here. My girl PM Philosophy is in the building. John Haymaker is up in this piece. Megan Smith is up in here. I'm sorry. I got you. You know, I got you. Debbie O'Bebe is in the building. Isis Blue is in the building. Chris is in here. Minerva is in here. Jules is in the building. Isley is up in here. She Does the Most is in here. Allison Z is up in here. Chanel Lamar is up in here. Maybe Phil will join us. Hopefully he will. We'll see if he can get here and stuff. Turd Ferguson is in the building. My man Ty is up in here. Mike is up in here. Vina is up in here. I was gonna say Tina. Fool me for a second. Fool me. Luna Cascade is up in here rocking with us right now. That is what's up. All right, look again, the phone lines is open. I want to hear from you. And sorry that you get the full version of the Don, but this is what it's going to be right now and everything else. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what people have said to me first and everything. And they have come to me and they have said, Tony Teflon, I left it in my comment section a bunch of times, saying that, you know, the I would say dream thing, right? It is invalid because I guess in some interviews that I have not seen, but from what they're telling me that they're, you know what I mean, they're saying that they're saying that these people aren't dreaming. Well, I never said they were dreaming. I think some people misunderstand what I'm exactly saying. And again, we have to understand that when these showrunners go on to shows, right, when they go on to channels and they do interviews, they're not going to confirm any theory. They're not going to say, yep, that's what's going on. That's what it is. They're never going to say that, right? They're not going to say that, but they will, you know, say things that definitely aren't, like purgatory. I told you that in season 1 that it wasn't purgatory. Yet people still bring that up to me. I said in season 1, they did that in the show. They had Father Kotri come and say it. Tabitha asked that question. So I always knew that was the case. Now, again, when they say they're not dreaming, they're not asleep, I never said that they were. I said they were in the dream realm. That's a big difference. Like, again, word salad. You got to watch out for that, right? Yes, they can come on and say, no, these people are wide awake. But that doesn't mean that they're not in the dream realm, right? That doesn't mean that you're sleeping in the dream realm. So that's what I'm saying when I put out that whole thing and everything else. You know what I mean? It's the dream realm is what I said. I never said that they were asleep or anything. And John Haymaker, thank you right now for having putting the number up there. 518-290-0848 is the number to call in and everything. Let me also give a shout out to my girl Lamar, who's recovering nicely. Got nothing but love for her as always and everything else like that. Yes, like kind of like that, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warrior 3, at 100%, something like that, 100%. You know, and we see certain powers that are in here with this woman being able to time travel, Julie, and go back in the time. Basically, we see that is a dream situation. And if you watch my video that I put out there, they say that you know, dreaming is a realm within itself. Like, you know, you can even look at Marvel superheroes and a Nightmare. And there's a creature named Nightmare, and he puts people in the dream realm, but they're not sleeping. They're not asleep. Now, as for everyone saying that it has nothing to do with dreams, that would be a fallacy. For the amount of times they have mentioned in this show dreams and nightmares, there's no way it can have nothing to do with that. They have mentioned it since season 1, over and over. Every character, the creatures are dubbed nightmare creatures. That's the name of the creatures, right? The nightmare creatures. That's what they call them. Why would they call them nightmare creatures if they have nothing to do with a dream or nothing to do with anything like that? You have heard every character from the beginning. Go back and watch season 1. To every season, they bring it up. Jade says, this seems like a nightmare escape room. You can go through everything all the time. They always say it. And as PM Philosophy says right here, let me highlight the comment. She says, Fatima famously says, literally, a nightmare can seem like a dream. And she says, if you go up high enough. Right? So for them, for this to have nothing to do with that at whatsoever, and them to beat you over the head with that word, to me would be terrible writing. It wouldn't be good writing in my behalf. You know what I mean? So that's what I would say. So I do believe it has something to do with it. Luna says, but the question is, can Julie change events or collect information to doing things differently at this present time? So what we know from what Ethan says, I mean, what do we take Ethan's word with? A grain of salt, right? What Ethan says is that you can't change the story. I mean, George R. R. Martin always puts that in his books. A famous line from George R. R. Martin: the page is written, ink is dry, right? You can't go back. And even in George R. R. Martin, you're not supposed to be able to affect the past. But when you read the books and you see characters like Bran, if you're into that, he did go back and affect the past. Even though they say clearly in the books over and over again, you can't go and do it. We see that it was Bran that went back in the past from the future, which made Hodor, if you're familiar with Game of Thrones. So even when they say that you can't do that, there's an example right there that it can be done, even though in the books they constantly say you can't, but it did happen, right? So when they say that in the show, when you hear that she can't affect the past, that's not true. Now, did she change the actual events of happening? When Julie goes back in and we see Jim die, that's not the first time Jim is dead. Jim was already dead, right? We got to remember that. Jim is already dead when we seen him. Another time Julie came back and tried to save him. Now she says, I think I got it, I think I'm right this time, right? Well, this time she thinks she's got it. Let's take this call. This is 205.
From
Chris.
What's going on? You're rocking with the Don Tony Teflon.
Hey, what's up, Tony? Man, it's Chris from Nashville.
What's going on, man? What's going on? I might be out in Nashville in January. I'm thinking about going in January. I might be out there in January.
That's what's up, man. Tonight I'm foregoing my usual super chat and I'm calling you guys directly.
All right.
Hey, so do you think at all that that the ruins are in a way almost like a faraway tree? Like, because we don't know, Julie isn't the chosen one, right? Like Tabitha was, right? Because she was reincarnated. But do you think that, like, the way Julie similarly went to the ruins, if Randall or Marielle went in there, they would have different effects, maybe get sent to a different time or a different place entirely? Do you think it might be like that whole Dale situation where he went to the faraway tree and ended up in some place where he wasn't supposed to go?
Yeah, it could be something like that. It seems like the ruins is a conduit to go back in times. Like, does she always have to go back to the ruins? And if that's the case, then we have to look at the ruins as a portal, right? And she has access to this portal. So she doesn't have the power within her herself to just travel back in time wherever she wants, but she does have an ability to access this portal. Now, we seen when Randall went by it, he said specifically it made him feel creepy. So he had some type of access. Even when Sarah was there, this is when she was able to hear things. She was able to see inside of the portal because she was on the floor saying it's right here. The music box is right here. So she was able to see inside of the portal and see the music box, but she couldn't physically get there. But she was able to see inside of it, right? So we have people that have some type of connection that it seems like seizures could be it, that somehow they have the ability to see, some of them, and some of them have the ability to go back. And we've seen 2 go back. One was Boyd, and one was also Julie. But Boyd went back by lighting a torch, and that's how he went back. Now, is that torch really a torch, or is it some type of technology that when he lit it, it allowed him to go back? We don't know what's inside that torch. It just seems like a regular torch, but it may not be.
I think it would be. I would like to see that if Randall and Muriel went through the ruins, if they all went to different areas. Like I would like to see that affect them differently than it does Julie, and maybe that be collectively how they all figure out another means of getting out of everything, you know, or preventing something from happening.
Yeah, it seems like when she went back, it took her to there, and then it took her to where her parents were. Like it took her to go see where Tabitha was, right? She was able to see that. So somehow she was connected to her parents. And then we see her again. She was searching for the time when Jim died. And she said, I think I finally got it right, that she was able to do that. So somehow it seems to take her to where her parents are at. Where would it take those other 2? Could it take them somewhere else? Could it take her to when Christy arrived? If Marielle was able to do it, would she be able to see the things that Christy, because she's connected to Christy? We don't know exactly who Randall's connected to, so we don't know where it would take Randall. But it seems like, you know.
That's why.
Go ahead.
That's why I'd love to see this. I would love for this to be explored more. I think it'd be really cool to see if they try. If she, you know, we know Julie. People don't really talk much in the town. They don't tell people what's going on. So I don't know if Julie will ever tell anybody other than maybe Ethan, like, hey, I was able to go back in time. You know, I don't know if she'd ever tell Marielle or Randall, but it would be really cool to see them explore that if it becomes that.
Yeah, she's gotta say something to them. It would make no sense for her not to say something. You can't just have everybody have secrets in this whole situation. You know, you can't have that. So she has to explore that.
Well, I just wanted to throw that out there, ask those questions. I'm gonna free up the line for anybody else to come call in and stuff like that. I just, like I said, wanted to forego my usual super chat and just say what's up.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for calling in.
Not a problem, man. Have a good one.
You too.
Yeah.
And we did get a super chat from my man right here, and he says, like Alice in Borderland, it would be a world in between the living and the dead. Yes, it would be something like that. You're correct. It seems that is, and that's what we have to understand, that seems to be a portal that Julie can access. Again, we've seen Sarah access the portal. She wasn't physically able to go in, but she was able to access it because she was able to see in it, because she's seen where the music box was at. We've seen Boyd do it by lighting something. Now, is it because now when Julie did it in the real world that she was at, it seemed like she was having seizures, but it seemed like her soul was able to travel back, right? Again, these astral projections that we've seen, if you want to call that, is things that happen in dream worlds, right? I've myself experienced looking at myself sleeping, going into the other room and hearing everything that was heard in that room while I was asleep. Many a times. I'm sure many of y'all have also been in situations where you have tried to wake up out of a dream and you could feel yourself physically trying to open your eyes and you have not been able to do so, right? And then you do. Those things happen. That's my lady Elamar right there. Good to see you, girl. I'm glad that you are okay. 100%. Put the Elamar emojis up in the chat for Elamar rocking with us and stuff. You know, I truly appreciate it, and I'm glad that she's feeling much better. But yeah, so when we look at it, and again, so it's not what I'm saying when I said they were sleeping. I said they were in the dream realm. It's a big difference. And though the people in whoever's doing these interviews, whoever said it, seem to be playing a little word salad with it. All right, you got to read through the word salad. Yeah, they're not asleep, and that it's not a dream. They're not all going to wake up and this was just a dream when it was all said and done, but does not prevent them from being in the dream realm. And that's why all this stuff is going on and everything else. Right. So that is what I'm saying. When I put that theory out there, that is what I'm saying on that. Again, we also have to look at them saying the writers of this, that they didn't intend for Tabitha to go out in the real world and come back until either the season before the finale or the finale. I don't know which one it was, but I know it was one. All right. So look at all the things that happen. They move that plot point up. So all this stuff with Jim and the man in yellow and all that stuff would not have happened this early. That would have all been end game stuff, right? That would have all been end game stuff. That would have been the season before or the season after. I don't know exactly which one, but either or, it's end game stuff. So they moving the end game stuff up early. The man in yellow would not be here. Acosta, oh, glad they made that change for her, but she would not be here. All right. Victor's father would not be here if they stuck to their original plan that they were doing. All those things would not have happened in season 3. That would have all happened later on. So again, George R. R. Martin always says when he did stuff, who is this calling me on Facebook? I cannot answer the call. Dudes call me on Facebook when you got my phone number. You know what I mean? You know, it's like all that stuff we have to look at should have happened later on, right? But right now we see that it's happening earlier. So what? And George R. R. Martin, I was saying, when he did the Game of Thrones show, he and the show writers excluded things from the book. He would always says, "Well, this link, you pull that one thread away, and a lot of things fall apart." So by them moving these things up, now what are they going to make the end game stuff? They have moved all that stuff up early, way early. So now what do? You didn't want Tabitha to leave early, but you did for good reason, I'm sure. And now she has left early. But now what would that have meant? That means the bottle tree mystery was supposed to keep going on. They weren't supposed to figure that out until almost the end of the season, right? And it's the bottle tree and that playing of the bottle tree, which I believe released the man in yellow. I think that's what was made the man in yellow visible, is the playing of that song is what got him out. Because as he said, the man in yellow, he said, with all knowledge, there's consequences with knowledge. When you learn things, there's consequences to it. And it seems like the consequence to it, yes, you learn things about your children, right? You learn things about that. But the consequence now is I'm free. And now I'm here to roam around. And now you have put me in this world, right? So that is what I'm saying when it comes to that situation. That shouldn't have happened till later on. But now that it's happened now, we have to look at this man as, if not the big bad, the one right beneath him, right? It's either one or the other. And that's just what it is. You know what I mean? He's either the big bad or the underboss. And that's what it is. Again, when he came on the channel, he talked about the story of this person, right? That he was told about him. And he said that the guy who seen him, one of the writers, seen the guy in the yellow suit dancing. He was happy. He's doing everything. He looked great in his yellow suit. And then 6 months later, he looked like hell. And he said he looked like he's been on a journey that he didn't win. And that's why he had came up with the concept of the man in the yellow suit. So you could look at that whole situation and put that, if that is his thoughts about the clothing, then we can take those thoughts about the clothing and add it to this character. That this character at one point was good. But right now, it looks like he didn't win and he's on his way back, right? Thank you, Chris, for the super chat. Got to be a big problem now that we got daylight threats. It's all about how they use it, right? If this guy is just walking around in the daylight, just going in, he'll murk everybody. We have to know, does the talismans affect him? Can he get inside the houses without the talismans? Was he the one that was outside banging on the village door? Was he the one walking outside there? Was that him? But was it him that was banging on the RV underneath it when they were all inside? Was he doing that? We know he was the voice, and maybe he was only able to express his feelings in this realm by being the voice of these things, like being the voice on the radio, being the voice on the telephone. But now that song was played, and remember, we hear Jim say specifically, yo, we know about these songs. Things happen when you play music in this town. All right, let's take this. Let's take this call. I'm gonna get this super chat. That's 81.
I gotta be magnanimous.
To accept.
Man, KP, my brother, what's going on?
Good evening, good evening, good evening. How are you?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. Hanging in there. How are you?
Nice. Listen, I'm just enjoying. I'm enjoying a nice weekend before the weekend before Christmas. Got off from work Friday. Well, Thursday actually. Did absolutely nothing Friday, Saturday, and today, except watch TV and laze around. It felt great. But since the last time we spoke, there's one thing I kind of forgot. So a lot of people are calling the phenomenon that we're dealing with respect to Miranda, Tabitha, that connection, and the Jade Christopher connection is one of reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
However, are we sure that's what it is? Because there are certain people that it's, for example, Christopher maps to Jade in some, but who maps to Jim, or is Jim separate and out of that time when it has nothing to do with it? He's not. He's just cannon fodder, because it seems as though certain people were duplicated without dying. So isn't it that you have, like Miranda had to die before her essence could go into Tabitha?
Yes.
So it wasn't had to die. So do you believe there are other people in the village that have that past connection, that are reincarnated?
I would, if it was going to be anybody, I would say it's Sarah. If it's going to be anybody else, but you got to get to the point where you can't have everybody in the town reincarnated. This is those two journey, right? So we know it's their journey. So we can't just have everyone, because they'll get crazy. If there was going to be anyone, I would say it's Sarah. And again, if Sarah is going to be anyone, she's Eloise. But they gave a big clue that Eloise is still alive. You know, that somehow she's still alive out there. I mean, they gave that hint. Now, they could always change their mind, right? They could always change their mind, because they gave enough to say she's dead, but enough to say she's alive. And we know that the showrunner, I mean, the guy said, like I heard him say, he's a gardener, right? That's the same technique again. And that's why I keep bringing up George R. R. Martin, because George R. R. Martin says the same exact thing. I've heard him say the same thing in an interview, that I'll take a trip from New York to Florida. I know where the beginning is, I know where the end is, but I don't know what hotels and restaurants I'm going to stop in along the way. And that's the exact same quote he gave. So I don't know if he listens to George R. R. Martin or he's inspired by him, but that's the exact same quote he gave, right? So what he's saying is that he has the beginning, he has the end, but he can change things in getting to that path, because he doesn't know exactly what places he's going to stop off. And if something jumps out and he thinks is a good idea and it works and everyone agrees, they're going to move to that direction. So they gave a hint that Eloise could be alive, but they gave a hint that she could be dead. So if it fits the story, they'll make her alive. But if it doesn't fit the story, they won't have her in it.
Yeah, there's one other quick thing. It's very interesting, this new phenomenon of what From has done to television, because I feel as though, and I think in some of their interviews, it's kind of been made to be evident that the fan interaction with the showrunners themselves take fan interaction into thought when writing out a season. So, like, I don't think fan interaction will change, as you said just now. I don't think fan interaction will change the destination, but like the hotels along the way, they take in ideas from the fan. They take in certain concepts from fans, certain questions from fans, and try to incorporate it into the show. One good example is the fact that Julie, and we ended up seeing Julie to be the person that threw down the rope, and that was a big fan question that was, so quite frankly, I thought it got a little bit too serious. I was like, because it doesn't really matter that much. But because it doesn't matter that much, it was an Easter egg thing that they could put in to kind of nudge as a wink and a nod to fans, but it doesn't derail the plot to the left or to the right any kind of way possible. So I think that's a very good, very new dynamic we're seeing in television. And my question, I guess, is, have you noticed that dynamic as well? And do you think it's good or not so good for television and TV shows, episodic shows going forward as we enter into pretty much almost 100% streaming for video and entertainment?
I think that, I'm going to refer back to George R. R. Martin real quick. The ending of Game of Thrones did not end the way he wanted it. The way fans liked it. It got panned. A lot of people hated it. I think that took a lot of breath out of George R. R. Martin to finish writing the rest of the book, because I think that's how it's really going to end. It may not end in that exact way, but the points that Bran is going to be king and all that other stuff is what's going to happen. And people did not like that. So I think that was how that ended. Someone in the comments said that they say that they're not taking anything from fans' theory. So obviously I would take them at their word of that. But I think that it's hard to not.
I don't believe that.
I'm going to take them at their word. I don't know them personally. So if they say it, I'm going to take them at their word. But it's hard to believe that if someone puts something out there, listen, and they like what that person put out there, why not? Right? If it fits,
yeah, exactly.
Why wouldn't you? And listen, everyone's human beings, and no one's on a pedestal, right? And people get writer's block, and people sometimes can't get through stuff.
A good idea is a good idea,
And
a good idea is a
good idea. And people have taken good ideas. I mean, I can go through things that people have taken from Phil the Issues guy that he actually came up with, submitted to companies, and they took his whole idea and did it with somebody else, right? So, so the thinking that people are above that is not something to think that, right? People do that. I don't know them. I'm not saying that they would. I'm going to take them at the word. They're saying that they're not going to do that. So I'll take them at the word and say they're not going to do that, that they have their own plan. But goddamn it, a good idea is a good idea. And if somehow it weaves in there and it works out that way, you never know.
100%. You're right, 100%. And my last little comment, I'm wondering, there was one of the biggest theory crafters in this community was so disappointed by the season finale. I wasn't, by the way. I totally loved it, but there was one of these theory crafters that was very, very disappointed about it. The point where he was saying that they have to have a secondary ending, a cut ending, an alternate ending that they cut out, because they thought that this was more universally palpable than to go down a very kind of complex and complicated end to the story. And I think it kind of encapsulates the kind of idea between fan interaction, because this is kind of the bad part of it, right? Fans will write an entire script for 7 series after watching the first season of a TV show. They already have written seven seasons down the line in their mind, in their own personal canon. And when things on the screen happen that are very much against these outlandish theories, they get disappointed in that. It's like, well, you already wrote a very, very fantastical, very difficult to display on TV type story in your head, which is a really good, by itself would be a really good story. But being disappointed because they went a different direction with their story and not your direction is kind of odd. So I'll let you comment on that. But I'm looking forward to season 4 being in 2026, and perhaps you can comment on that too. Why will it take so long?
All right,
so
bro.
Everybody in the chat, have a good night. Tony, we'll talk again soon, and I'm out. Cheers.
All right, brother. Peace. I think when it comes down, I know who you're talking about specifically. I won't say who it is, but I know who you're talking about. And I think that when you're a new theory crafter and you come up with new things and you put so much effort into things, right? You outline things and you put everything, and you really feel like you've connected all the dots and everything else. And it doesn't go the way that you want it. It's obviously going to be disappointed when you put that in. But in the end of it all, it's not about your theory being right, my theory or anyone else's. It's about the journey. And in all honesty, I would not want to be right. I would love for my theories to be wrong. I don't want to eat that hot chip. I don't. I'll be honest. I don't want to eat that motherfucker. I'm scared to death. All right? Scared to death. I don't want to eat it. But I would rather them not do my stuff and get there. And I don't want my ending. This is not my show. It's about the journey. Making theories is about coming out here with you, talking about them. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Hearing yours, that's the journey. That's why you do a mystery box show. I never get connected to something that it makes me feel inadequate in any way. I've been wrong more times than I've been right, but when I hit one, I'm happy. You know what I mean? It's just like a baseball player. If you hit 350 in a baseball player, you're going to the Hall of Fame. That means over 70% of the times you're getting out. Over 70% of the time you're getting out. But if you're going to hit that 300, you're going to the Hall of Fame, right? That's baseball. You know what I mean? Reggie Jackson has struck out more times than anybody in Major League history. Has the most strikeouts of all time. Do you remember those strikeouts? Nope. You remember the home runs. When he came through in the clutch, when he was there, when he had to get there, and he had it. 3 home runs on 3 swings in the World Series. Never. That will never be duplicated again. So that's what it's like. It's, to me, it's just, I can be wrong 70% of the time, but I can just get 30% right. That's what people are going to remember, right? And that's the way I go for it. And that's the way I'm looking at it. So again, I just put my stuff out there. And if I'm wrong, hopefully I'm right. But if I am wrong, then that's what it's going to be. Let me get to the super chats. We got one from Luna. Thank you so much. It said, it seems the Cicadia experience gave Julie the sensitivity to touch, Randall and the ability to hear and Marielle to feel. I wonder how these skills would work to be used for them to escape. I don't understand the sensitivity to touch or anything like that. I would need you to explain that a little bit. But to me, the Cicadia experience in the end was Smiley when he died. I think all the Cicadias that's what he transformed into when he was killed. His essence went into those Cicadias. That's why you see in his body turn into those Cicadias right then and disappear. I think he was in the Cicadias, and now that his body has transformed, his essence went right back into his body, and we will never see from them Cicadias ever again. I think that was Smile Monster, and that's what he was. And again, Cicadias are about being reborn, being resurrected, right? Those things came out when he died and stuff. And now that he's reborn, we will not see those Cicadias again. That's my thoughts. And thank you, Jason H, for gifting 10 memberships to my channel. It's really, I thank you so much. And thank you for giving back to the community and anyone, and to the familiar. Anyone who got it, please give him a shout out and shake him too. Again, we're the familiar over here, right? Familiar. I think that every channel, they have their own group, right? We're the familiar. I think Julie B Deep Dives, I think she's the Fromaholics over there. They're the Fromaholics at her channel and stuff, and all those. We're the familiar over here, and I think the other channels are the Fromily, all right? So we're the familiar over here and stuff. And that doesn't mean we don't like other people. It's all the same fandom, but we got different names for it, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's the way it is. So let's just say he says, yeah, Cassie, I hope Tony has her on at some point. Taryn, Tony, and now the faceless girl are my favorite theory crafters. Well, I'm sure that they appreciate it, and I appreciate being one of them. I truly appreciate it. 100%. Thank you, Christopher, again for another super chat. He says, if the monsters are granted immortality and can respawn, I wonder who, if anyone, has killed the monster before Boyd. That would be fun to see. I would think that at least that one of them had to die before, because that has to be proven, right? That would have to be proven and everything, right? That they could act, that they could actually do this, right? And I think that that's the mode that their body goes into, the circadian mode, until one is resurrected for them. Again, I'll deem back to George R. R. Martin once again for Game of Thrones, because a lot of this stuff that we see, a lot of it's been not taken, but I think they may have been fans of George R. R. Martin. George R. R. Martin has a thing about second lives in his book story, and that wargs, who are people who can go inside of other wolves, and skin changers are people who can go inside other animals and certain people. So they can go inside of them. Now, one thing happened to this character Jon Snow, and he goes inside of his wolf. It's not been spelled out, but that's obviously what's going to happen. And he's living his second life, and they call it the second life inside of his wolf. But when his body gets resurrected, he's going to be able to go back inside of his body and come back to life, right? So it could be a situation like that. Smiley lived his second life inside the Cicadias. And when his body was resurrected, he was able to take his soul and put it back into his body. And I think that's what happens to all these people there when it's tested and everything else, So I would think that somebody would have had to take one of these monsters out, or at least hack their body to so many pieces that they couldn't go in it. Because if it was me, I'm getting a machete and I'm chopping these dudes up. We going to figure this out. Because it's me, I'm telling you. And it's dead ass. I'm going to catch one of these motherfuckers, and we're going to run some experiments. We're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. And that's just the bottom line. There's no other way that I would do that. You know what I mean? I'm not just sitting back on defense all the time. It's time to go on offense. And I thought they were going to do that, but they didn't go that point. We heard Boyd mention it, and he seemed dead ass to do it, but maybe the Fatima thing sidetracked that whole situation, and maybe we will see that in the thing. But until they start doing that, they're not going to be successful. Now you have a new threat here that you may not be able to do that to. You may not be able to run that at all. You know what I mean? It could be a situation where now you're in trouble. And again, I think they have to get to a point, and I talked about this before, where these monsters actually seem like a threat again. And we don't become the Walking Dead zombies. They got to do something to make us feel good. This is 916.
The voice at 916.
Ooh.
To accept, press.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine. How are you tonight?
I'm great. Now that I'm hearing from you, how's everything?
Yeah. Excuse my voice. I got whatever bug is going around like you did.
Oh,
So it's a little raspy.
well, you sound beautiful as always, and I really hope you get better sooner than I did. I hope it gets you there.
I hope so too. I don't like being sick. But speaking of monsters, I wonder what would happen if multiple monsters were taken out at a time. How would they resurrect?
Yeah, that's a problem. The fact that the way they resurrected was that they had Fatima actually give birth to one, to me, is a problem. Would they have every chick in town pregnant? If you kill 10 of them, all of a sudden the whole Coyote house is pregnant? All of a sudden, and everybody's just laid up in Coyote house? And dude's like, you told me you was on the pill, and now you pregnant too?
Exactly. Boyd shows that if you're in close quarters, you know how he knifes Smiley in the neck? I mean, of course, the worms assisted, but if they found another way that they could take out multiple monsters, even if one of them had to die doing it, that's the problem when, resurrecting. The writers have kind of written themselves in a in a bad place where they can't get out.
Yeah, that's why they can't do it again, right? Just for that reason.
Right?
That's why we're most
Mm-hmm.
likely never going to see a death of another monster until this series ends because of the way they brought that monster back. They can't run that. That's a one-trick pony. You've shown it. They
Mm-hmm.
played the trick. You can't play that trick again. So for that reason, we're probably not going to see another monster get killed in the series because you're not going to be able to do that again. Because if Donna will come up pregnant, then what's going on now?
Exactly. Exactly. Now that we have seen the man in yellow,
Mm-hmm,
okay, he's got to recognize who are the enemies of what he's trying to do.
mm-hmm.
And Julie is definitely a threat. And if we see Randall and Marielle, how this has affected them, they may become a threat, as well as, Boyd, he's kind of, he slowed Boyd's stride down, but
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean that he's over. So I wonder how the writers are going to, how they're going to address the man in yellow, um, going after these specific threats to his power.
Yeah. Well, they said that they're going to that they are going to that he's going to be a big character going forward. That's what the actor said when he came on, right? That he was going to have one scene.
Mm-hmm.
He only shot that scene. He'd met no actors on the show other than the ones that were in that scene. He hasn't met anyone yet, and that he's going to be a big part going forward. So it's how are they going to make him that threat? Are they going to just have him walking around outside? Now no one can go outside because he's there, because he's walking around. Uh, is he going to be able to? I think in the end, what they need to do is they need to get rid of the talismans. They need to get the talismans out of this story already.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
these
agree.
people
I
have too
agree.
much protection. They've been living too good of a life. It'd be better to see them in a fish out of water situation where they can no longer hide in the houses and they have to dig holes and they have to do things like that. But it also depends on how. What up, Christy Jellybean? It also depends on how omnipotent this man is, because does he see everything? How did he know Tabitha was digging the hole? Can he see? Is he a fourth dimension? What was he in the fourth dimension and I allowed him to see everything? Does he lose that
Mm-hmm.
ability now that he is in the third dimension with everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Because if he can see everyone, then there's no sense of even digging holes because he's gonna know where everyone is. He can say they're right there, that person's right there, that one's right there, right? So it all depends on what power set they give this man, and how they use it going forward.
I agree. They're going to have to do something to take away the security and the sense of a certain amount of control and safety that the Fromville people have in order to continue to make that excitement. And I'm wondering if the man in yellow will have the ability, I'm sure he will, transform as the monsters do. They look one way, and when they attack, they look another. Now, he may not have to use that same um, transition to change because he's more powerful than they are. But I really am curious to see what sort of transformation his physicalness will take,
Yeah, I would like him
and
to be able to
how.
change into people in the town, like this be a straight shapeshifter and be able to imitate
Mm,
people in the town. I would love to see him do that.
mm-hmm,
Take somebody out, and then he takes the form
mm-hmm.
of that person, and he's running amok in the town as that.
Well, so maybe the man in yellow is the mole, huh?
Yeah, that would make the man in yellow the most. He took out Donna. I mean,
It
in,
would
in
be.
the end, when we look at all the characters that we have seen in this show, Donna has no storyline. She hasn't had a storyline from season one. Everyone else has
Mm-hmm.
had some form of storyline. Even people who came in season two have more of a storyline than Donna ever had. So eventually, they're going to have to give Donna a storyline. And what is that storyline going to be? So
Yes.
if she is the mole or she gets taken out by this guy and now she's a mole because of that, that's a good storyline for her, But she has to have something other than the mother hen of Colony House.
Tony, You got to tell those guys to put you on the payroll because,
listen,
that works.
I agree with you. They should. I make this a banger. It's a banger show, but I can make it better. I can make
That's
it better.
right. That's right. Well, thank you for taking my call again.
Thank you for calling in. It makes me feel better.
I will. I'm going to get some hot tea with honey and, deal with this, soothe my throat a little bit. But until I talk to you next time, take care, peace, and chat. Stay sexy.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
Bye. That is the great voice of 916. Phil Issues guy is in the background. So I know Amy it will be happy because she knows how great Phil is, and he is that great, but she likes to put it in there. Phil's the best. Well, Phil is here. He'll be in here soon enough. I'm sure he's in the background right now. I will keep going on and everything else. Like number one, John Haymaker. This is not George R. R. Martin hat at all. This is a gangster hat. All right, that's number one. Let me go back and look at George R. R. Martin's hat. He has a ship captain's hat. This is a gangster's hat. All right, from the old school. My father used to wear hats like this all the time. All right, so not George R. R. Martin hat here or anything like that. He has a captain's hat, a sailorman's hat. But the Don has the gangster hat. You know what I mean? That's the way the Don rolls. Again, so I think we had another super chat come through. Let me take it before Phil gets here. We had a few. We have one from Chris, and it says, if the monsters are granted immortality and can respawn, I wonder who, if anyone, has killed a monster before Boy did. That would be fun. I think we took that one already. Thank you, though. I think I answered that question. And the real Rebel Eric says, I have a lot of questions, but one is why Martin's blood was able to kill a monster. So it's not the blood, it was the parasites inside of them that actually killed him. It wasn't the blood itself. It was just those parasites that were inside it. Again, when the actress who played Julie came on this channel and she talked about it, she specifically called them, what was the word she used? She used now you're making me forget the word, extraterrestrial parasites is what she said. Right? That's not what I said. That's what she said. And I do believe that's not something that you just put out there, right? You just don't think of extraterrestrial, but she put those words, extraterrestrial, out there. Extraterrestrial parasites is exactly what she called those things. And we know all about the extraterrestrials because we have experts.
We have all sorts of stories, mythologies, legends that could be interpreted as gods, who in reality were misinterpreted extraterrestrials.
And that's what we could be dealing with here. Some type of situation. That's coming up in here. I love that guy. Yeah. And I put in there and I say that, that we deal with jinns in situation like that jinn would be considered an extraterrestrial, so that's what it would be. Phil, what's going on, brother?
Not much. How's it going?
I'm hanging in there. How's everything?
It's going well. One thing I wanted to jump on that you guys were talking about, and we keep talking about getting these things back to being a threat again, and I think it's different than The Walking Dead in the sense that I don't think they deballed the monsters, even though we did kill one of them. We just don't see them enough. We just I know they did bring the man in yellow who it does upgrade things. He makes things scarier. It definitely, I agree with what you're saying about the talismans. I think that would be amazing. But really, when they do show up, they're still outsmarting these people somehow, even though we got Ethan running outside with, for goats or whatever. What did he run outside? They tricked Boyd into trapping him and all that sort of stuff. So when we saw them this season, they were still a threat. I just don't think we saw them enough. I think we can't forget about that. And I wonder, to go to the man in yellow, is the man in yellow going to use those things as his minions? We've talked about like Borg drones. Is the man in yellow going to sort of use them as, is he the one that orchestrated the plan to trap Boyd in that situation? It probably wasn't Cowboy Monster. It was maybe it was the man in yellow as sort of their general of some sort and could kind of orchestrate.
Is it a hive mind situation when the man in yellow is the Borg queen?
Exactly. Is it something like that?
And they all get the information from him. and everything. That's why they know everybody's name, because he knows everybody's name. And a situation like that, you know, because again, when they were in the RV, they stood down, they just stood there and didn't do nothing. And then that's when the knocking came from underneath, right? So it's probably him telling them, stand down, chill, and then go. And then we seen Randall take off. And when he took off, they didn't do anything, right? They took one after him, but then we see Randall get attacked by the cicadas, and they don't do nothing to him. They just let him lay there with the cicadas and stuff. And maybe the cicadas need to steal some of that essence from these people, Randall, in order to maintain, if that's Smiley, which I do believe, his energy, so he could come back and stuff.
It's going to be cool to see what they do with Smiley now that he's back. Does he have any, do they keep the special focus on him? How do they, because in the time that we haven't had Smiley, we didn't necessarily bring up another one of the creatures that was sort of like one we focused on, maybe the nurse a little bit and the cowboy, but
the cowboy, I would say it was the cowboy because he had the speaking part.
Yeah, but now obviously Smiley's going to be back. And do we see Smiley and the Man in Yellow have a Mr. Burns Smithers relationship? Obviously more serious than that. But is there that kind of relationship between the two of them? Starscream and Megatron, what, you know, like that kind of vibe, or where it's more antagonistic, where somehow the Man in Yellow isn't necessarily, because the Borg Queen idea is something. It also could be that they're trying to a mutual enemy. You know, the Man in Yellow is as you've said, you know, is the Jinn, is the person that tricked them, or possibly that thing, as I think you were saying earlier. And if he's not the big bad, he's the Starscream to the big bad. He's the number one.
100%. There's no doubt. Again, it's like they gave him, you know, accepted the role to come on just for one scene, to promise that a lot more is coming to him. Then you would have to think that he believes that they're going to do a lot of stuff for him in the upcoming seasons. And again, we haven't seen them do that with a lot of characters. The Boy in White, you know, last season had one scene. This season, he had 2-3 scenes. The Boy in White, nothing significant there with him. What up to my sister Coley Cole in the building? You know, nothing significant there from him,
except for that tree scene with the cutting down the tree stuff. But that almost served as the most important part of that scene, Tony, was to establish that the Boy in White can age.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that if they do things with him later on, he can come back at 23 years old and no one will say anything, because they established in that scene, hey, you're aging. Victor called you on it. So now the Boy in White can come back at any age they fucking want.
Yeah, that's why, that's 100% why they did that scene. So they keep bringing him back and he gets older at that, but it's not going to work with Ethan. So that'll be the problem.
That's the problem.
That's going to be the issue. They can't run that with Ethan. So how they plan on adjusting that, because in 2 years, when Ethan, depends on when they're shooting, right? If they could shoot this year, you know, springtime, start shooting in spring, go into post-production for the winter, be done with that, and then bring it out in the next year and stuff. I think that's what he said. He thought he was going to be shooting in spring. I think that's what the Man in Yellow said. He didn't know, but he would assume that they're going to shoot in spring.
You know how like young child actors back in the day, they used to like drug them to try to keep them young. I wonder if someone on set is sprinkling a little something in Ethan's Crystal Light.
Are you saying like there's a Beetlejuice shrunken head man?
Yeah, this is someone's doing something. They're like, please, someone's wishing upon a witch doctor right now, Tony. Ethan, don't hit a growth spurt, dude. Don't hit that growth spurt quite yet.
Listen, they'll have him shaving. He's got to, if they either grow a mustache, they're gonna have to shave it off.
Introduce that kid to Nair. You know what I mean? So,
have to do something.
He'll be in a
like, this man legs is hairy as hell. Put pants on him, man. Put pants on him.
Shoot him at odd angles where they'll be always like the night court angles where, you know, Harry Stone was bigger than Bull, so they had to shoot everyone at like weird angles to make them look shorter than they were. So Ethan's always sitting down from now on, or maybe they'll have him have a leg injury and he'll be, you know, stuck in a wheelchair or something, or stuck sitting down in some situations. Who knows?
100%, brother. 100%.
They got to do something, Tony. They got to do something.
They do. And so when you look at the aftermath of this season, how do you think it plays out with Boyd?
Okay, so the last thing that we see of Boyd is him watching Smiley reborn, right? And doing his his Smiley. Yeah, this motherfucker's back again. I thought I killed him. Okay, so the first thing, do you think, I think the first question we need to ask is, will the next season follow the same pattern as the previous seasons and pretty much start right after we ended? Will we? So the immediacy of everything has to be, even with Boyd, dealing with Jim's death. But beyond that, I hope, Tony, because they've established, Liz said this when we had her on, and I keep having to remind myself this and remind people in chats and when we talk about it, the thing about it only being weeks, not months, or, you know, being a short amount of time. So Boyd, theoretically, what we hope, Tony, in the first half of next year, Boyd will want to catch one. Boyd will want to fight back at this point, especially with Smiley's back. And like, Boyd, you got to think this is going to drive Boyd more into the stuff that we saw this season that seems like a long time ago by the time we'll see it, but actually is just going to be a few days later. So I'm going to say we start off right after we deal with Jim's stuff, and then Boyd almost immediately, and now with people's support, maybe deals with like Ellis because of what happened with Fatima, you know, some of the people that were against him. But then we get into what we were talking about last week with your girlfriend over there, and maybe Boyd being on the outs of the leadership, and Sarah being on the oust. And that's a different topic. When we get into Sarah, we'll get into that. And when we get into Officer Ana Lucia Acosta, we'll get into that. But Danny
is her name.
Danny. I'm sorry. Daenerys Targaryen. We're talking a lot of Game of Thrones today. Daenerys Targaryen there. When we get into that more, we'll get. But I do think she's going to just do stuff against Sarah, like just make a move against Sarah and be like, Sarah's a problem. She did this to Elgin.
It all depends. Does Sarah just fall on her sword and take the blame for everything? Because that was her whole purpose of doing it, right? Like,
she saved Fatima, though. Like, Elgin's going to be like, Ellis cannot keep his mouth shut. And Ellis is going to be like, and even Elgin, after all this wears off, when he wears off his Vigo curse from, Ghostbusters 2, like wears off the curse and realizes what happened. Even he's going to be like, I was asking for that ass kicking. Like,
it could be to the point where Elgin gets banished for what he did. Right. Think about Boyd being banished, but what about Elgin being banished? I mean, you'd have to see them make their way back to Colony House. They're going to have to go back in there. Elgin's in his position. I don't think he's going to be able to talk about anything.
Not for a while.
Boyd say, listen, take this talisman and make the best life you can for yourself for what you did. Or does he give him the pass again? So what Father Khatri was trying to say to Boyd in there was that he makes special rules for his family. So is he going to make a special? Is he going to heed that advice and use Elgin and say, you know what, I'm going to not use a special rule. I'm going to give you the same respect that I gave my family and just say that you had a bad time because this place did it to you. And just give him the pass? Or do they just say, you know what, it's best if you just get up out of here and you go live in the woods somewhere with a talisman and you go out there and make the best life you can for yourself and keep your mouth shut. And that's it. I think that them saying that they were trying to break Boyd and everything else, it's really not about breaking Boyd. It's more about breaking the town. And without Boyd's leadership, and again, they foreshadowed this by Boyd telling Kenny that it can't be no hothead like Acosta that wears this badge. So I think that right in the beginning, when it all starts, Boyd walks in. This is my prediction. All right, now, how the season's going to start. He's going to walk in and he's going to hand his badge to Kenny. And he's going to walk out. I think he's going to give the badge right up to Kenny, give it to him, and then walk away.
Yeah, and be like, I didn't have to appropriate the sheriff.
Yeah, and then that's it. And then Kenny will be sheriff. He'll get Acosta to be deputy, and Kenny will move. Kenny ain't staying no goddamn Colony House. He's going to move into that office, and Boyd's going to go off. and that's where it's going to be. But I think that that's what's going to happen because he lost control. He did that, and he's going to blame himself. That you're going to see right in the beginning. Remember, I said this. I'm telling you, he's going to hand that badge right over to Kenny, and he's going to be out.
I think when it comes in situations like that, I can totally see him doing something like that. He's not going to want to fight for it. He's going to go back to, and I'm going to go on my own and do my own plan. And then the kids are going to screw it up and have to come back to Boyd. And he's going to be the only one that can actually do the job. I think that's absolutely the likely scenario of how this all handles. I don't think he's going to get into a pissing match ultimately with
Acosta.
With Acosta, yeah.
He's not going to just let, tattletale behind my back. He's not going to just go with that. He's going to be, you know what? I'm done. I resign. That's it. I lost control. And then, yes, I think you're 100%. Kenny going to fuck up everything.
Oh, totally. They're going to have to turn back.
Fuck everything up. And they're going to get their ass kicked right now. You know what I mean? They're going to get the shit kicked out of them. And again, I need them to kill at least 3 to 4 people this season in order for this season coming up to be successful to me. I need them to go. I need these people to get killed off. You know what I mean? I 100% need them to be killed off. If they don't kill off these people, then I don't think it's going to be a good season. These people gotta go. You have to start breaking this cast. No one major has died but Jim in 3 years. Let me see who this is. And Phil, you want to set up your phone line?
Yeah.
I don't want you not to be able to talk back here.
I can be quiet. I have hippie activities to do.
To accept, press 1. To
I
send
do
a
not know
voicemail,
what
press
that
2.
said or anything. We'll try him. What's going on? You're rocking with the Don Tony Teflon Phil Issues guy. Who we talking to?
Yeah, this is Michael from Oregon.
What's going on, Mike?
Let's see. So, I called in a few days ago, kind of at the end of one of the shows, and just wanted to kind of pick up where we left off.
Go right ahead.
All right. Let's see. So, one of the things that I was talking about was the bottle tree, and kind of the what I think is kind of like the underlying metaphor for it, as far as like the show narrative goes. Not necessarily literal, but just kind of like where they were drawing stuff from. And I had mentioned previously like the Norse, like Yggdrasil tree, which basically connects to different kind of realms of existence in Norse mythology. And 3 of those are basically roots that go to like the human realm, the monster realm.
I heard you say this.
Underworld.
Let me interrupt you real quick. So do you believe,
Sure.
let me interview you for a second. Do you believe that this is dealing with the Norse gods?
No, not literally. I think they're just like drawing inspiration from a couple of different sources.
So you don't believe like Thor and Odin's going to show up, right?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I don't.
All right.
But I think that like kind of metaphorically, like kind of what they're drawing from. One of those things I think is some of the Norse mythology.
All right. Continue then.
Sure. So yeah, basically, Yggdrasil is basically what they call like the world tree, and kind of connects between different realms of existence. And then the other tree that I think is maybe an inspiration is the Buddhist Bodhi tree, which is basically where the Buddha achieved enlightenment or awakening, at which point he was basically able to see all of his prior incarnations back to the beginning, which is essentially what Miranda did with Henry when she dropped acid in the park under the tree, after which point she started seeing visions of Fromville and of all of her prior incarnations, which Henry had mentioned that she had seen, all the kind of previous failed chosen ones that had come previous to her.
That's me at the gathering of
she thought that she was currently chosen, and then he said that Tabitha is probably one of the chosen one now. So I think there's kind of a combination of the 2 of those, just kind of like as like a metaphor. And so my thinking is that like when the children basically poured their hopes into the roots of the tree, and then the tree grew, my thinking is that the tree is then what's actually kind of making the whole karmic reincarnation process work. Essentially, it's kind of like the central MacGuffin. And I'm thinking that that's maybe why the boy in white's saying it's important, don't cut it down, because if we cut it down, then the entire process stops. and the Fromville entities win. That's just kind of a guess that I've got going on right
So
now.
you think the tree is what's trapping the people in this spot? Is this what you're saying?
So I think the tree is basically what's allowing like Jade and Tabitha to reincarnate lifetime after lifetime.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So you think that? So wouldn't it be from their thing to get rid of the tree, and then they won't do that anymore?
I mean, that's one of the reasons that I think that the boy in white can't actually tell Victor what's going on, is because we've seen from like when Boyd said, you know, you don't fucking break me, out by the ruins. Then there was like a dog that like barked out and then like ran away. And then the monsters later like threw that back in his face. So my thinking is that the boy in white can't say kind of like out loud to Victor what's going on, because otherwise essentially the entities will know, and then they'll try and destroy the tree, kill the karmic cycle, and essentially win the game, so to speak.
All right.
All
right.
I
hear you. I hear you. I somewhat see it. I do believe the tree is important, obviously, but I think it's that tree there. I think what has to happen is the tree that's in the real world, so to say. That tree there is the one that has to be dealt with.
The one that Henry and Tabitha were trying.
I think it's the one in Fromville that's the original, and I think that Miranda made copies of it when she started having visions after her like LSD basically vision quest.
Well, there's a reason why
under that tree.
There's a reason why they did not have them go to that tree. There's a reason why they cut that off. All right. They could have had to go to that tree. They didn't have to, like, so let's put it like this real quick, right? They didn't have to have the tree in the backyard. They could have just had that tree in the park and have them make it to that park and then them leave and get into an accident, right? But they specifically said, my wife made another tree. The original tree is in this park, and she said, I need to go see it. And then they cut us off from her going there. So therefore, that tree there is the important tree, in my opinion, or they would have let us see that tree. So I think that eventually someone's going to have to get to that tree. And maybe you're right. Maybe this tree is a thing. Maybe she chops that tree down and kills everything else. But something is in that tree that they did not want us to see. And we have to, and I think they're going to have to get to that point, that tree at one point in this.
And I just think from the narrative with the boy in white telling Victor not to cut down the one that's in Fromville, that maybe that's the important one, and the ones in the real world were just Miranda making copies after she started having visions.
I hear you. I understand your point. I believe the tree in Fromville, like, I don't believe Fromville is a real place anyway, but I think it's more effective to the boy in white, and that's why he didn't want it chopped down, because it has something to do with him, right? And I think it's connected. And again, I don't think the boy in white is good at all. I think he's evil. And I think it has something to do with him, and that's why he doesn't want it specifically chopped down. But when we look at the beat points that the show has shown us, they showed us a tree at the house. She said she needed to get to this tree. Obviously, it had to be really important because they cut us off from that scene. So again, they didn't have to put the tree in the yard. They could have just put that tree. You could have said, yeah, my wife built the bottle tree, blah, 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 here, because she had the pictures of the tree. It would have been easier for a set piece for them to look at that picture and she say, oh my God, she drew a picture of the bottle tree. And them say, oh, well, there's a bottle tree in this way. Let me show it to you. But that would have been way more cost effective. But the fact that they had her go there and she had to go there and they prevented her from going there, to me means that when it's all said and done, they got to get to that bottle tree in that spot. And that's where they're going to figure this stuff out.
That's entirely possible. Yeah, it could be that Miranda needed to go through the tree to the lighthouse to get to that original one in the park.
Could it be? That could be where she winds up.
And I'm predicting that at some point Jade and Tabitha will probably have to recreate Miranda's kind of like awakening vision quest. And I'm thinking it's foreshadowed in Randall's conversation with Julie, where he talks about foraging for mushrooms out in the forest. I think he's probably gonna have to go and find some magic versions of those.
Yeah,
So
it could be
Vision
some
Quest sort of
definitely
thing.
getting high shit going on here. But
philosoph-
I think another foreshadowing they have with the tree is that Christopher wasn't willing to go through the tree. I think that this version of Christopher, Jade, has to go through the tree because Christopher
Mhm.
wasn't
Yeah,
willing to do it.
I think they both have to.
So I believe
Mhm.
that he has to go through. Now, Jade, this version of Christopher, which is Jade, has to go through the tree. Now, where it brings him, we don't know, but he has to go through the tree.
Christopher just wanted his hand up that puppet's butt. You know?
And that's it.
That's all Christopher
Entirely
wants. He's like,
Anything else, my friend?
I was just going to circle back to something that one of the previous callers had asked about, and like how many people could possibly be like resurrecting. And I think it's just the two, because we have the Chromonocle story where it's in the first season you had Jim and Tabitha like dancing around making Chromonocle noises, and one of the things they says is maybe there's two Chromonocles. So I think they're just narratively hinting that it's literally just the two of them.
Well, and
reincarnating essentially on the good side of things.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think that now originally, now the Chromonocle is a woman, right, in the books, and they said there may be two Chromonocles.
Yeah, it's referred to as a she.
Yeah, so
right.
I think that they were
they
were two women in the books, and the original character of Jade was supposed to be cast as a woman. Right, it wasn't supposed to be a man, so it was supposed to be two women in there. Doing this together. It wasn't supposed to be Jade, and they decided to switch it and make Jade a man because the name works both ways and stuff. But it was supposed to be a rich woman that was the same essence of Jade, but it was supposed to be a woman. That was the original concept, and then they changed it. So I think that's what the Chromonocle situation means. There should have been two women there.
I suppose that could be.
All right, listen, thanks for the call. We'll be back again Wednesday. You want to call back Wednesday? We'll be here, brother.
Sure.
All right, man. Peace out.
Have a good one.
So Phil, let me bring this to you. All right. The original casting of Jade was supposed to be a woman. If they do that, then this whole Tabitha Jade thing is a totally different story, right? You don't have them having a baby together if it's two different women. And I believe that that's the reason why they always showed their child holding hands with a boy, because it was supposed to be two women and they were supposed to have kids that got sacrificed. And that's why they always showed those two together always in the beginning. One would have had a son, one would have had a girl. That's the way it would go. But they had to, since they changed Jade into that, they changed the story and said now Jade is Christopher. And they came up with the whole Christopher story, I do believe, because they changed its character to Jade. I don't think it would have been a man, and Christopher might have been Christina instead that was doing all that stuff. What do you think about that?
I think that's very interesting. And I also wonder how much that would have an effect on the ultimate result of Jim's character too, or if any results of picking Jim to be the one that is the person that the man in yellow ends up ultimately taking down. I hadn't heard that. That makes me want to do the Dana Carvey, Johnny Carson voice. I did not know that. That's my first time hearing that, and so I have to process it a little bit.
Yeah. So, but as you brought up there, does Jim die then?
That was my first thought. Do they kill Jim? Because it seems like they're building the chemistry between them on that level, and if it's a different dynamic, which it might have been the same dynamic, but if it's a different dynamic, then you wonder if they would have fast forwarded what's going to happen with Jim. I don't know.
Yeah. Does Jim, did they get off Jim at this particular time? If it was two women there, because then one of them would have been playing the violin. It would have been the same scene playing out, but instead it would have been our kids were sacrificed. Our kids, it wouldn't have been our kid. We have a kid together. It wouldn't have been no. I can't think about this.
Oh, there still would have been a lot of no.
Yeah, there would have been no there. There would have been no. I can't. No. Not right now. I can't do this. There would have been none of those no-nos. Maybe that's why they changed it, because they wanted the no-nos in it. Yeah. But they wouldn't have been able to do that, right? Because now they don't have a kid together. They wouldn't have had a kid together. It would just been friends who had kids, and both their kids were sacrificed. And that's what causes Jim to walk off by himself in the stupor.
Yeah,
right.
Pouting.
You know what I mean? Now it could be a situation where, there's, oh, this is my best friend, and Jim is like, well, hey, bring her home.
Different rules and from
bring her home, baby.
different
We
rules.
gonna send these kids to County House for the night. You bring her home. We need to investigate this together. We need to figure this out together. We got to crack this code. Kids can't be around. We got to get these kids to County House for the day. Donna, watch these kids. We have to focus.
Yeah, we need a chemistry check. We need a chemistry check. Let's do a seance. Let's do a seance and see if there's been some connection in a former life, Tony. You know, that's what I want to do. I kind of want to shift and ask a question that I've been wondering for a while, and I keep circling back to this. But you were talking about shape-shifting earlier. I forgot, or if it was a caller, it might have been KP that was talking about it, or you guys were talking about as I was getting in here. And then you mentioned the person talking to Boyd, Father Cautry, and we've often sort of speculated about who is, or I've speculated about what is the Father Cautry. Is that a force of actual good, or is that the man in yellow fucking with Boyd to try to set him up and put him in positions that he wants to put him in? And I wonder about, or is that one of those other equal powerful entities that exist as the man in yellow that maybe that are trying to escape too, that aren't as evil or something, or aren't as more shifted in the other direction? So with talking about the shape shifting, that would be an interesting ability to disclose that the man in yellow has, with a lot of those visions that we're seeing, even thinking about Kimono Girl, those are all shape shifting versions of that character, orchestrating events around town by talking to people. We already know that he was the voice on the radio. Maybe he's some other things that we've seen too, but maybe not. But that's just a thought.
They want to make this show go epic. I'm telling you, showrunners, if you watch the Don Tony Teflon, make this dude a shapeshifter, make him take out Donna.
I like that.
And then have this guy working from the inside.
They did that on Deep Space Nine with a character. I'm not going to ruin which one it is, but there's shapeshifters on Deep Space Nine, and they had at one point, before you didn't even realize it happened. You found out after the fact, Tony. You're catch up with the character, and you're like, oh my god, that character is a shapeshifter. And it's like a holy shit moment because you find the other character was captured or something. I'm not going to say who it was, but yeah, that would be something really.
They don't have, and that would be the best way to do it. Like, you have no inkling that Donna is captured, right? That Donna has been changed and shapeshift, and she's just going about her business the whole time. And you can even have it where people start hating Donna. Like, why is Donna acting like this? And then in the end, you come in, you find Donna's body somewhere.
I was gonna say, someone finds her body somewhere, and
you find her body somewhere out there, and then it's not Donna. Donna's dead. Who is this? And then the eyes turn black, and it's the goddamn man in yellow coming out there with his hands in his pocket. Like, yeah, but that's how you could give away that it's not Donna. Don't have her put her hands in the pocket all the time, right? That would be like a slight thing that people like us who are crazy about this will pick up on, but the average fans, they'll never pick up on it. Don't have her put her hands in the pocket anymore like she does. And then you would know that's not her. And listen, showrunners, if y'all watching and you do that, you don't have to give me credit for it. Just do it because it's a good idea. It's all good. You know what I mean? So that is what it is. That's what I would think. If they did something like that, you have to give Donna a storyline. She has no storyline. You need to get something big to happen for Donna. So to do the turn for Donna, right? The heel turn. Again, when wrestling, when they turn a baby face, which is a good character, into a bad guy, the more likable that person is, the bigger turn it is. That's why when Hulk Hogan turned,
or when Andre turned on Hulk Hogan,
that was a big one. But I think the Hogan,
the Hollywood Hulk Hogan thing was
and that was the biggest turn in wrestling history, because he's always been, I'm gonna say your prayers, eat your bride vitamins, brother. All right. And when he did that flip to the end, that's the biggest turn in wrestling history. And Vince McMahon should have did that in the WWF, and he would have had something there, but he wasn't smart enough to do it at the time. But that is what you need, a heel turn. And Donna would be the perfect, Donna or Ellis. Fatima would have been the best, right? Because everyone loved her. and everything, but she's already had a storyline, so we can't deal with her anymore. Ellis's storyline isn't really been there, but he's with Fatima, so you could say that storyline is intermingled. The person who doesn't have a storyline since the show is Donna, and they need to give Liz, number one, because she's a great actress, great friend of the channel. They need to give her more to flex her acting chops. And I think that if you heel turn Donna, then that would be amazing. I think that would be a great shift there.
Yeah, first of all, Eric Bishop definitely deserves a lot of credit for that, because Hulk did not want to do that, and they convinced him to do that. And Nash and Hall, like that whole thing, that the NWO thing, that was the last time I really watched wrestling. A little bit into the Attitude Era, but that was like the last, because all those great 80s and 90s wrestlers were that was their last big hurrah there. Anyways, yeah, Donna needs a story, because right now, Tony, Donna's story is other people doing things, and Donna runs in like a bat out of hell. What's going on? Like, she needs actually something to do. But now she's the wolf. Her only part right now, which is a great part to have an element of her character, is she comes in like Harvey Keitel at the end of Pulp Fiction and cleans up messes. That's what she does. And she'll come in hot, and then she calms down. That's her this season anyway. She comes in like, I'm angry, and then someone will calm her down, and she'll be like, okay, and then she's in on the brain trust of the main plan, but she doesn't really have something going on in herself other than her story with Henry this season. Like, she bonded with Henry. We had a couple of the stuff with her and Dale, but
Liz said that she thought there was a little flirting going on there.
Yeah, that was one thing. Like I said, she's like,
but the husband was like, no, there wasn't.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, with Dale, when Cliff came on, he was like, no, I didn't see any flirting between them. And then when Liz came on, she was like, yeah, there was a little something going on there. Right?
It's going to be interesting to see if we see them.
Maybe that's why they got rid of him on the set. He can't be on the set.
And now the Man in Yellow is coming on, and the Man in Yellow and Cliff have some history as actors. They're friends and stuff. So I wonder if he'll haunt Donna to get to his buddy there. You know, we'll see if
we got to get them both on. We got to get
all three of them too, but definitely the both of them.
Let me say this. I should have said this in the beginning, but let me say this real quick. And this person probably does not want me to say this, so I won't say their name. So somebody, a fan of the channel, they sent me a Cash App for a certain amount of money, and they wanted me to use this Cash App to get one of the actors from the show to send me an uplifting message, because they said they were concerned of my brother passing away.
They want to do a cameo or something like that.
Yeah, and they didn't know my email and all that to do it themselves, so they wanted me to take the money to spend it to do that. I would say that's very nice of them to do that. I did spend the money in the way you wanted me to spend the money, and I won't share that message when this person gets back to me personally. When anyone who does out here, I'm not going to put it out there, but I will send it to the person who sent me the money. I'll try to contact you. You know who you are. If you can't contact me on Facebook, I will send you that message. But I'm not going to put the money. I'm not going to show it on the channel or anything like that. And let me just say thank you so much. I truly appreciate you thinking about me and my well-being and everything, and to say, you wanted one of the cast members to give me a pep talk and everything else, and to keep going and all that. And we're going to keep going. I'm going to keep it moving. We're not going to stop what we're doing. If one thing my brother was about his business and about his money, and he would not want me to stop doing anything. He was a workaholic. He got on there. My sister in the chat, she could tell you, he was grinding. He grinded. So we're not going to stop the grind. Like I said, we here now. We're going to stay here for the whole 2 seasons. We're going to be at. I was here when me and Lamar first started this, when there was 15 people in the chat. We was here, right? So we're going to be here. I'm going to keep doing it, because not because I'm grifting over to a show, because the show is popular, because I love this goddamn show. I loved it from season 1, and I still love it today. And yes, every show has problems and everything has difficulties, but I'm willing to go through it with them. And I believe in the writers and I believe in these actors. And these actors were some of the first actors who ever allowed me to do an interview with them. All right. So I'll always support them. I'll support them in anything they do. If they ever have a future project or anything, I'm here for them to do anything I can to help their career. Because the matter of fact is, when it comes to shows like this, and you can go through the hits of TV, some of this is the biggest stuff they're ever going to have in their life. Some of these actors. And that's just reality. That's just what it is. You can go through Cheers. You can go through the Jeffersons. Any show. You can go through Friends. You can go through and Living Single. Those roles that a lot of those actors have, that was the biggest role they ever had.
It's more the rarity that it goes in the other direction. The Ted Dansons of the world that like are able to get multiple parts and multiple sitcoms and over again successes at different ages aren't as common. Or Michael J. Fox, or some people that came from those things. Most of them, that you're right, like their big hit, like most of those other actors from Lost, that Harold, because Harold had done things before and after, and Adebisi there, and a couple of other people came from Lost, but like some of the biggest characters, Hurley,
Evelyn Lilly, that's it basically.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the other characters like Sawyer and Hurley, like they've tried. They've had like several shows that like they're the stars of, exactly, they can't break out.
It's over. A lot of the heavyset dude, haven't seen him in nothing. A lot of these people, it's over. That
he was in a show called Alcatraz, which was a mystery box show about the island of Alcatraz, which was sort of a lost thing.
The Asian couple that was in there, haven't seen them in much. I mean, a lot of these shows, when you go through them, this is their shot. So listen,
that dude's on Hawaii Five-0, I believe.
Is he on Hawaii Five-0 now?
I believe that dude's on Hawaii Five-0.
Good for him. He's good at, like, when you look at shows like these, when you look at The Facts of Life, Kim Fields was the one. It wasn't Blair.
Yep.
It wasn't none of them. It wasn't Nancy. Never heard from Nancy again. Never heard from these other people. This is real quick. This is going to be some of these people. That's just the reality of the business. Biggest shot. And I want to support them and I want to be there for them and help them, enjoy this. I go to conventions. And I've been to horror conventions with my friend Dustin Warburton, because he's a horror writer, and I would go with him to like the Chiller Theater in New Jersey and see people signing autographs. The guy who played Jason, the original Jason, who was in it for 2 seconds, Phil, when he pulled him out the water into the boat.
He goes to all the same with Kane on
that guy is at all these conventions for 2 seconds. He was in the movie, the original, and he actually builds himself as the original Jason.
Have a picture of him as a kid in the water and shit like that.
That's it. That's all. He was in there for 2 seconds. And that's his lifestyle, was to go into conventions and making money and signing autographs. And he had a heavy metal rock band and he had his CD and he was selling that. But that was it. I have a friend, Christopher Cerrone, who was in Goodfellas. He played Ray Liotta's character when he was little. That was his big break. He had other films after that. Christopher Scott Cerrone, I should say. But that was his big break, and he still lives on that role. He goes to conventions, he signs autographs as that character and stuff like that.
There's bigger actors that it goes for that as well. Like someone like Ernie Hudson, who I consider a big star. He goes to low-end conventions to be there as, Winston the Ghostbuster. He shows up with the car, like the truck.
So funny. That's so funny about this. His son dated this woman that was just trying to date me.
Was that the dude that was in the one of his sons that was in Oz?
I'll get his name, but his son, they were in Albany. Like they grew up in Albany. His sons and them grew up out here in Albany, and he was dating this one woman that was out there, and she was with him for a long time, this white lady, and she was trying to date me. I would say 5 months ago, she was trying to date me, and she was talking about them and everything else and all the family and how cool she is with the family and all that stuff. And all that. That's why it's funny that his name was brought up, that he just brought his name up. But yeah, he was in a couple of movies. He was in Sugar Hill. He had a little bit part in Sugar Hill.
He goes to those conventions. He was flirting with my ex-wife in an elevator. Like he was all about her. you met her, Tony back.
Uh-huh.
He was all about Stephanie. He was like, hey, how's it going? You want to go get?
Can't blame him though, Phil.
No,
Can't
dude.
blame
If
Can't
that
blame
happened, I'd be like, Winston, go for that's Winston, dude.
him.
That's Warner. Plus, I've watched too much Oz. I got intimidated with him. I was like, oh my god, that's Warren Glenn. I don't want to get thrown into Oz.
Yeah, so I'm here. I'm gonna be here for the long haul, no matter what. Whether the views go up or the views go down, it doesn't matter. We'll be here. Phil's rocking with me. I got good friends, and I love this community. I'm not going anywhere. But again, the real reason was just to say thank you to the person who sent that to me and let you know that I did do that. I used the money the way you wanted me to use it, and I will, hit me up so I could send you when I get the thing, and that's it. Who do you think I got it from? I'm not going to say who I got it from, but who do you think I got it from?
Which character they got it for you?
Yeah, no, they sent me the money, so I had to fill all the stuff
Right.
out.
So which character on the show did the cameo?
Yeah, did I do?
I'm guessing they got you Acosta.
No, I had to pick the person.
Oh, you had to pick the person.
They sent me the money to do it, so I had to go on there and do it myself physically and stuff. But the people who are up there, I think right now are Scott's up there.
Yep.
Scott's there. Actor who plays Jade is there.
Yep. David.
The actress who plays Julie is there.
Mm-hmm.
And the actress who plays Marielle is there. And I think that's it. Who's there? I think that's all.
Out of all of them, I would say you probably picked Jade.
Who? Jade, you think? Okay.
I think maybe Jade.
All right.
Just because he's the one we haven't talked to yet.
All right. So out of all the people, y'all in the chat, if y'all want to guess, y'all can try to guess who I picked to do it. I won't confirm or deny it or anything else like that.
See, if someone picked it for you, I was convinced it was gonna be Acosta. Like,
they sent me the super chat and wrote in the super chat what they wanted me to do with the money and stuff. So I did it for them and stuff. So that'd be that. A lot of people saying Jade is in there. Julie, people saying Julie, and then Jade. Acosta is not up there, so she couldn't do her. She's not up on that yet.
We need to nominate that. Send her messages on Instagram to send Tony a birthday message. Who cares when Tony's birthday actually is? Just have
January 8th. January 8th is my birthday.
Okay, it's coming up then. Okay, so
the same day as Elvis, man. That's why we get along so good, Phil.
The king of what do you eat? The peanut butter and banana sandwiches or something and bacon sandwiches. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he ate crazy. All right, let's get back to
before we start. Oh no, I'll talk to you about it before. I did watch the first episode of Dexter, by the way, and your review. So
how did you like it?
I actually liked it better in the first episode than New Blood. It was obviously a big setup. I like the cast that they put together for the main cast. I think I like the comic sort of tone to it all. I'm not sold on, and I actually like his sister better than his original actress for the sister.
Right. But you want to do a live stream on it? We can do a live stream.
Maybe at some point. Like let's watch a couple of episodes. It reminds me a lot of Bates Motel so far.
Right. I just think that when it comes down to it, that there's a way where it's hard when you're like the Sopranos got it wrong when they tried to do all the actors when they were younger. It was more of a parody. And I think that these people do a much better job at that than that. Especially the guy who played Dexter. He's got the voice down.
But you got Buffy the Vampire Slayer there and freaking and Christian Slater, which is just kind of weird to see Christian Slater and Buffy there. And then who's the other actor? There's like another big actor that they have there. Whatever, but it's like a pretty good cast, you know. They got
it's a good show.
I don't know about live streaming about it every week, but I wouldn't mind doing maybe something about it. We'll talk off air. I just want
we'll do something like that. All right. So let's go back to the show from and continue our conversation about this great show that we love. Did I get any super chats that I'm missing? Let me go. I think I did from Luna. You Luna screaming at me, get to my super chat. What are you doing?
Kelly Johnson says, God bless T. Hope you and your brother lots of love for that. Luna says, any prediction on what the title From means?
After the Ankui thing, I don't have nothing. I'm gonna be honest. The fact that Ankui is a made up word that they made up, from can mean anything.
I always
I'm not even gonna predict it. It makes no sense to predict. When you can make up a word, like we need a word, and cooey, that works. When you're willing to do that, you know what I mean? Then it could mean anything, and it could mean anything. So I'm not even. I have no predictions for
I
it.
always assume, just because, and I forget exactly where it is. Someone in the chat can say the facts of it, but it's called like Origins or somewhere else in the world. So from like where where they're all from, but that could just be too simplified. But to me, that's like everyone's from somewhere that ended up here. Like I always assume that's what they mean by from, even though it's, especially when the other name is Origins. Like this is, that's.
Debbie says from means fuck, run, oh my god, monsters. That works for me.
It could, that works.
That works for me. That definitely works for me. 100%. What up, Familia and everything? I've seen Julie B deep dives here. The head of the Fromaholics, Phil. They got the group of Julie B's, the Fromaholics over there. I like the name.
I like that one. That's a good.
Yeah, I like that. I like her group, the Fromaholics over there. So what up to the Fromaholics over there from Julie B Deep's Dives corner of the realm? And all that. We truly appreciate you coming out here and rocking with us.
So I'm not sure if you got all these super chats. We get the real rebel Eric. I have a lot of questions. One is Martin? I did all of those. Oh, you got
got all of those. We are caught up and up to date over there. We're 100% with that. All right, going back to what we predicted. So we have predicted that Boy will turn in his badge right in the beginning and everything else.
People asking the biggest question: season 4, will people stop complaining about Chrissy's hair? No, and people are going to start complaining about Julie's hair. If you notice, they
switched on Julie's hair cut.
Yeah,
holy shit!
And if Randall did something weird, they'd complain about Randall's hair too. Like they're going to complain about hair. That's the thing on this show.
Yeah, they got so many. It's so funny they complain about all these women's hair, but never about Jade's bushy ass beard. And Jade can do no wrong to these people. Jade can do nothing wrong to people. And Jade can just grow his beard out here, look like a ZZ Top. No one would care. No one would care. Everyone would be like, "Oh, Jade's just the best."
You see the way they play the violin.
And that's what it would be, goddammit. They put a wig on this chick and get a little, look at her hair, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Why do they style her so horribly?
Yeah, just all that. That her beard is her hair is gonna get broke down and everything else like that. And my sister, I like Jade too. I'm sure you do. I'm sure. Everyone likes Jade.
I like Jade.
I'm the same. Listen, there's this lady, and we interviewed her. She said that she said she was bisexual or lesbian.
Chrissy?
Yes,
bi, I believe.
I think she said she was bi, right?
Yeah.
I think she said, yeah. Ain't no man throwing that chick out the bed for that hair. All right. Ain't no man in this chat or woman, for that goddamn matter, is gonna be like, I would, but the hair is throwing me. Ain't no one give a goddamn about that. No one gonna give a goddamn about y'all making a mountain out of a molehill. And that's the bottom line. She ain't got the best equipment to work with in there cutting her hair. She got the best equipment. Maybe she needed, that's what it is. She's a really good egg. So I ain't gonna.
She hilariously handled it on the Instagram thing too. Like she's aware of it. She's basically fuck you all about it. Like I like it. Fuck everybody, and I like it.
She likes it. Nah, she seems like a very confident woman too.
Yeah, she's chill. She's real. Yeah,
she mad cool. Listen, she came on the show when she was at a concert. She could have backed out on us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because she was at a concert and said no, but she took the time to go away from the concert long enough to sit there and talk to us. So, we got nothing but love for her, straight up. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. It was Luna Cascade saying Jade is fine. What are you talking about? I'm not saying. Y'all have your opinion. It be good. I don't know anything about that at all. I don't judge men. I don't got nothing. The only thing I can tell you is I'm better looking than Kenny. Goddamn.
The Kenny Acosta Teflon triangle.
That's all. That's all I can tell you.
I feel like the writers gave Acosta to Kenny just because they're watching you, Tony, and they're like, "Oh,
these bastards is fucking with me.
we gotta mess with Tony. We know he's gonna like Acosta."
They're fucking with me. That's the bottom line. These bastards, but I know I look better than them, so hey, that's just what it is. So, all right, let's go into some of these other characters in this show. We talked a little bit about Elgin. Where do you think it goes from Elgin here?
Okay, you were talking earlier about whether Elgin would be ousted out of town. I was just gonna say castrated out of town. Outed out of town. I don't. Who knows about that? The small group. I think a lot of that might have more to do with how Fatima and Ellis react to it and how they want to handle that moving forward. If we accept, and Boyd has. How hypocritical is Boyd? Boyd not just accepted his family, he accepted Sarah and accepted understanding that Sarah is touched by this place and fucked with this place. Ultimately, Elgin didn't really hurt anybody. Fatima lived, like no one got killed. It looks like to John Q average of Fromville, it looks like Elgin got his ass kicked by Sarah. But Sarah and Elgin have a little vibe already. So I think Elgin is going to say, I fell down the stairs, and everything's going to be yada yada a little bit. And
that's an eye out though.
Yeah. I tripped. I tripped. No, they're going to have to bring Chrissy in or something, but I don't think he's going to want anything bad to happen to Sarah or Boyd or anybody for what happened to him. I think he's going to be more forgiving than everybody else is about it, because once he realizes what happens, he's going to, because you said this during the season and we said this, he thought he was doing good. So once he realizes what actually happened and he got duped, he's going to be really like.
All right, I'm going to say who can get this right. And I'm going to say something, and then my sister can, because my sister will know, because we used to watch this when we were little. There was a show that said this. It said, "Find my eye in the pie. Find my eye in the pie. Can you find my?" He's doing the Sammy Davis Jr. voice. "Find my eye in the pie." If you can tell me who said that.
No Googling.
Well, what show said that? She knows. We were little. We used to watch that. Find my eye in the pie. Let's see. While that goes up, we'll do something for you if anyone can fit. I don't think anyone will ever figure that out. No one will ever figure that out. But that's what it was and everything. Nobody. All right. So Elgin, I think that Red Fox. I think Elgin.
Red Fox on the electric company or something.
No. I think that. I don't know how long. Do they get rid of that stuff? Look at that, Luna of the Love God. You are correct. It was Steam Pipe Alley. 100% Luna Love Good. How did you know about Steam? You never seen that show, Steam Pipe Alley?
No.
That was Mario Cantone's first show. And he was it was like a kid's show. It was a kid's show, like the Magic Garden,
like Blue's Clues, or
and that was his show, and it was
or the Wiggles or something like.
And it was called. I got to give Luna. So Luna hit me up on Facebook, so I can get you something.
Game show. Okay, so it was like Double Dare, or something.
Yeah, it was more a little bit like that. It was Steam Pipe Alley is what it was called, and that was in Mario Cantone. That's how I know him. Like when I see him and everything, I just know him from Steam Pipe Alley, like a Pee-wee's Playhouse type situation. That was his show and stuff.
Whenever I see Dave Coulier on Full House, I always remember that show. Do you remember the show on Nickelodeon, Out of Control?
Mm-hmm.
It was on right before You Can't Do That on television, and it was like Dave Coulier was the host, like a Johnny Carson, and that's crazy going, yes, brought it like.
I would have won Double Dare, Julie. If
I so wanted to go on Double Dare.
Still to this day, I would have won. I know I would have won Double Dare.
They
Because
occasionally do adult double dares, Tony, where like they'll come into your town and you can like we should.
I
throw
get
in-
to listen because number one, them going up the slide when it was stuff on it, I would have ate that slide alive. That would have never worked. Going up the nose, I would have been up that nose. Done deal. Like that would have
catching
been nothing.
pies. I'm good at that shit.
Nothing that they put up there to me that was a threat to stop me. You know what I mean? On Double Dare.
Do you know what other show I would have
I would
kicked
have set a
ass on,
record on that.
Tony? But I think both of us would have killed on remote control.
Oh yeah, remote control, dude.
We would have destroyed on remote control.
Without a doubt. I would have ate
Those
that.
questions were so easy. Like I got them at home at the time. Now, like I was like, if they did a remote control, we're not like Kenny's not like the other kids.
Yeah,
that's me. That was freaking me, you know. But anyways, whatever.
No.
Sorry for the asides tonight. It's the off season. You may see the occasional more often where we go off topic a little bit, but we'll always.
Yeah, Julie, I would have been up that nose because people they put their hand like they were scared to go up it. I would have fisted that
nothing. That
was
was
crazy.
Wasn't real boogies, you know.
I would have fisted that nose. That nose would have seen me coming. You would have seen it just run away.
That flag would never have a shot with you, Tony. You'd be like, "Rah, you'd rip that thing open, you know. You'd Hulk that shit.
I would have been in there. It would have been no problem whatsoever. Press Your Luck was a great game. Great.
No freaking whammies, my friend. I just happen to have the song for pressure, the no whammies thing. That's the sound I play when I spin the wheel.
No doubt about it. All right. So I just
yeah,
don't
Elgin.
know.
What do you think?
Yeah, do you think they kill Elgin off?
No, I don't think they
After
kill
that?
Elgin. No, I think
you can't, right?
No, I think Elgin has business to do with Sarah. I think Elgin and Sarah, this in an effed up way, and I don't know why I can't say fuck right there. In an effed up way, Tony, I think this brings Sarah and Elgin closer together in the long run. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I think we get scenes with them next season that they bond over Sarah popping his fucking eye out. I actually think, as ridiculous as this sounds, his storyline next season is going to be intertwined with Sarah somehow.
Listen, if
be ridiculous.
You took out my eye. You have I don't care.
She's making it up to him, Tony, this season.
It better have a cape with an S hanging out of it.
It does. Right. You put that shit on layaway, Tony. You put that shit on layaway.
If you're making that up to me, it better have a cape with an S hanging right out of it. Because that's what it would take in order for you to take my eye out and me still rock with you. It's got to be something that the gods would feel.
Tony, I'm getting older anyway. My eyes are pretty bad. Sarah can take one of my eyes. You know, I'll get a glass eye like Sammy. You know, it's okay. You know, they're not that good. They're much better now. I'd be like Charles Dance in The Golden Child. You got the knife, but no, I can put cool stuff on it, or not. He's not in The Golden Child. And actually, Charles Dance in Last Action Hero had a glass eye that had all these different things. I corrected myself there, but yeah, it is Charles Dance. Wrong movie.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I would consider losing an eye for it.
Yeah, come on, Tony. We're getting older. We're getting older. There's glass.
The left eye can go.
Yeah, you don't need that stuff.
Yeah, no, I look
good chasing those waterfalls, Tony. Just get rid of the left
Slick
eye.
Rick back in the day for Halloween. I look good in eye patch. So I could pull it off. So yeah, you know, Costa, I would let she can take.
Go chasing your left eye. You can get away with it, Tony. You can now. Sorry, that's bad. That's bad, but we'll do.
Yeah. All right, Phil, hold it down 1 second, brother.
Absolutely. So let's get into the live chat. The voices, don't trust the voices. What about Sarah? Does anything happen to Sarah? I wonder, though. I mean, I think Sarah, the biggest problem with Sarah moving forward is the fact that Acosta might want to make her bones on Sarah. And I don't mean that in the way that my mind sends it down that direction. I just mean she's already shown that she has a hard on for Sarah, but she wants to sort of, like, Sarah murdered somebody, and now that Sarah beat up and poked out Elgin's eye, she might be a proxy attack for Acosta to do against Boyd by going at, well, he protects Sarah. Sarah is a threat. So she may deal with a little bit of Acosta energy, but I don't know about that. I think once Elgin realizes, no, wakes up, recovers a little bit, I think he'll step up to defend Sarah. But again, this is all my makeup stuff, just from what I'm putting together from what I know about these characters, that I think Elgin, once he realizes everything he's done, is not going to want anything bad to happen to the people that sort of called him on that bullshit. Sarah does rule. She's probably one of my favorite characters at the moment.
I love Sarah too.
She's awesome. And I think everything she does at this point, Tony, that we've seen, she's doing it for rational reasons. She doesn't poke out Elgin's eye because she's hearing the voices, because of all that stuff. She's like, my soul is already dead. I'm trying to protect Boyd. We need this information. She doesn't kill him. She does exactly what she needs to get the information she needs. And that's it.
That's it. People have done worse to get information. As she said, and listen, that's on Elgin too, to make her go that far.
Yeah.
Like he could have gave up quicker. You know, you didn't have to hold out that much.
Boyd slammed his hand. He could have given up at that point. He didn't need to go.
His hand was beat down as bad as it was. You could have gave up. Then you're not gonna lose. You lost the eye for stubbornness. You know what I mean? Try to be stubborn. You know,
he's not hard. He's not like the Russian on The Sopranos. He's not going all the way with that. You know, if you know you're gonna go eventually, at that point, I'd be like, no, don't hit. Like I know I'm caving. Like I'm not caving for much. But in that situation, if I'm Elgin, like I'm like,
listen, if I had a chick like Sarah, they already killed her brother, already did this, and you seen her reach for that rusty ass blade,
and she's whistling like Negan. She's doing the
like all right, you got it. I would have been like, I would have drew her a map, gave her a social security number. I would have told her exactly how many steps it's gonna take to get there, how much pressure you need to put on the shelf to get it out. I'm giving it all up.
Yep.
You're giving it up, because if you're willing to give it all up, you're either willing to die or give it up. So he wasn't willing to die. So if you're not willing to die, you might as well give that shit up before that eye came out. That should have been done.
Poor life choices there, Elgin.
Or die for it. If you're willing to die for it, you die for it. But
right, and all power to you. That's respect. You want to die for it, but he did not want to die for that, obviously, if he gave it up after you popped up the eye. So what were you saving after the hand broke?
Exactly. like as soon as she would have grabbed that, it would have been like one of those
I'll tell you.
Like one of those guys who are auctioning stuff off. I'm like, sit down. I would have been going right out. I would gave that right out. Nope, you're not coming to me in your fuzzy sweater and your Amish dress. Nope. No. That's all I would need to see. I would have gave that shit right up. And that would have been that would have been it. No way that would have been going on. And that would have been over. Without a doubt. Let's get this defect. Let's see what he has to say, defect. Because he said, I'd like to know why the cellar was the last place they checked and it took them so long. They knew the cellar was there. I mean, that you have to just chalk that up to writing, correct? Phil?
Yeah, and I mean, they were there. I mean, but the bookcase, the soundproof bookcase was there to kind of block it because I guess they did people maybe checked it, but they wouldn't have checked the back room of it. But that's a good point. I mean, how many people know that cellar's there? Most people in town probably know about it. So,
yeah. Fernandez, thank you for the Cash App. I appreciate it.
Thank you for that.
That was just sent. Yeah, I mean there was a soundproof booth back there. You know, that's where they record the hits back in that motherfucker.
Yeah, that's where Elvis is recorded the comeback album down there.
You can't hear through that bookcase. You know, Victor was down there before them.
Yeah,
and he didn't hear nothing. Victor's suspect. Next time we come on,
he was staring at the hole in the wall too. He was just
Victor's suspect. I'm trying to tell you, Victor's suspect. How did Victor get there? Let's get this right here. Who is this? This is from TJ. You truthful? What TJ Yao? I would say that says right.
Yep, Truthful Ministries.
Truthful Ministries. He says, I believe that the man in yellow is a demon who has a pocket dimension who has a pocket dimension alien. Well, the fact that you put the alien in there, I'm going to lead some.
Yeah, Tony agrees. Tony agrees.
I will lead some credence to this. I don't understand what you mean though by who has a like he's holding a pocket dimension.
Like in the Men in Black when he has like a little like the
That's
little
I don't understand that point.
galaxies.
But listen, if he's an alien, I'm with you. But holding the pocket dimension, I don't understand that. You'd have to explain that a little bit more to me.
Oh, that he's sort of like the what I'm guessing is that the Fromville air town, like all that is a dimension onto itself, and somehow taking the people, like when they get stuck in the road, they're getting stuck in the dimension, and Man in Yellow is controlling and like holding that area, like holding.
So Mike,
I don't know, be wrong though.
Michael's saying the snow globe drawing is a hint at it.
Yeah, kind of like holding the world of.
Yeah, all right. If you want to look, yes, all right. I believe that he's saying that. I believe he created the pocket dimension, and he was the one powering the place with people's souls. All right, I got you.
That could be very Freddy too, as in I think it's part 4, maybe, or maybe it's part 5, where you see Freddy's stomach, and every person he kills goes into his stomach, and he fills his like the souls give him more power, and he's just to go with another Nightmare on Elm Street thing. Like,
listen again, Phil. Let me ask you this question because I said it before. Because I told people that people tried to say, "Oh, Tony Teflon," they said they're not sleeping. And I said I never said they were sleeping. I said they're trapped in the dream dimension. That's a big difference. All right, big. You got the mother blankets there.
Yeah, I get the mother blankets keeping me warm. It's cold in there.
That's what it is. I said it's a big difference. Do you think that a show can mention Dream of Nightmare as many times as they have since season 1? Name the creatures in it, the nightmare creatures, and this have nothing to do with Dream of Nightmares.
No, I think it definitely has something to do with some sort of, and I heard you talking to as well as like a dream realm doesn't mean something completely specific to like an area that is connected to people's dreams. I mean, there's a reason why they are calling these creatures the nightmare creatures, and that's something that came out like. I think we figured that out in season 2 or something, like when they started.
Yeah, but season 2 they came out with the name of the creatures.
So there's a reason for that. There's absolutely a reason, and that's where we get into some of the people that have conceptual understanding of this place, or thinking that like the giant crayon that this is sort of fears come to life in some ways. But I mean, we did get some now more concrete information about some of the things that might be going on in these towns. So is nightmare creatures maybe the creatures that are living their nightmares, like living out what their nightmares are, living in this world over and over again? I don't know. But Tony, one way or another, the idea of the conceptualized of nightmares or a dream realm or some connected situation with the visions, like a Vision Quest dream realm thing, is something like that is now
Inception situation.
Something, it seems like there's elements of that mixed in here because of just, I also don't necessarily, and I could be wrong, don't necessarily believe that it's reincarnation. I think it's more to go with the Buffy, like Buffy's the one. She's the vampire slayer. When she dies, it passes on to another vampire slayer. The memories and all this stuff are like the Dax symbiote. Like I'm not sure if it's reincarnation, just rebirth, different people being reborn with the same memories and powers and skills and stuff. And I know that's a fine line, but I think
I'm sorry if I know Julie B is doing a rewatch of the show. If y'all rewatch the show, when you do rewatch it, write down how many times they bring up Dream of Night.
Yes, Michael, it is.
Write it down. And I'm guarantee you it's going to be within these 3 seasons over 175 times it's mentioned. Because it's constantly mentioned. They constantly show dream catchers in the show. They're not, that's just not set dressing. They could have put anything there than a dream catcher. They didn't have to have a dream catcher there. They could have put, even when Fatima was pregnant, Donna said, "Oh, is a dream come true? Or this is a place of nightmares, and you don't want to take that." Go through it. You'll see. Write it down. I'm telling you, it's over 100-something times that they've mentioned it, and you can't just mention it. This is not Tabitha saying no. This is not them like, we need a word for Tabitha. No. Okay, that works.
It's like Eloise being a
That
good
works.
hider and possibly being alive. They don't mention it that much for no reason.
Yeah, they're not going to have that. As TJ says, they have like 5 dream catchers. This is not set dressing. Again, they built this set from the ground up. This is not a place they just said and modified it to it. They made it look exactly they wanted it to look for this show. So every decoration, everything that's in there, they put in there. And they put it in there with a purpose. All right. I believe that these are good show writers. For this to have nothing to do with that, that would be sloppy writing to me. I don't think they're sloppy writers. I think they're good writers and everything. You know, one worked on The Sopranos, right? Phil, who was the one that worked on The Sopranos? I know one of them worked on The Sopranos.
Yeah, I forget which name it is.
One of them worked on The Sopranos. And when you work on shows like, and listen, Lost worked on Lost. Lost is one of the, you know, regardless of if you like the ending of it, it's one of the greatest shows in television history. It's the number 1 show for many years, right? You don't do all that stuff, and you're not good at what you do. And that's just the bottom line. So you don't bring these things up. You don't say these things, and all of a sudden it has nothing to do with it. You know, you don't. That's not what it is. And if you ever watch Boogie Nights, right? You watch Boogie Nights. I know a lot of y'all watch Boogie Nights. The whole show of the Boogie Nights, all they talked about was how big this dude's dick was. Did you think that they weren't going to show it eventually?
Excuse me.
Right? They always showed everybody's reaction to it. Oh my God, Jesus Christ, what is that? They showed the whole film. And then at the end of the film, you had to show it. You have to, right? You can't set something up like that and then not pay it off. If they did all that and they did not show it at the end, then it would not have been successful. And that's why they had no choice but to do that, right? You can't set something up and say something over and over and over again, and in the end, it has nothing to do with it. They have
Unless
set
you're
dreams and nightmares too much.
Unless you're Quentin Tarantino and it's like what's in the box, but like that's what was so frustrating for people about that movie, or not the frustrating part, or was such rule breaking about that movie, because Quentin Tarantino is just one of those guys that breaks rules, but like people wanted to know it. People still to this day are like, we didn't get the payoff. We didn't know what's in the damn box. Is it Marcellus Wallace's soul? Is it this? Is it that? You know, but because most times in that situation, you find out
it was a prosthetic, Jackie C. It was not really Mark Wahlberg. It's not like that.
Oh yeah.
He said he took it home with him or something like that.
Yeah, he did. He keeps it. It's one of his treasures.
It's one of his things from the set. And the lady from who played Game of Thrones, that she was Catelyn Stark's sister. I ate dinner with her. I had a chance, and Aziz actually hooked that up for me to go eat dinner with her. And and she came on the channel too. I had her on the channel. And God, not Catelyn. What the hell is Catelyn's sister's name? Whatever. Liza. She said that when she was doing the boob scene with the son sucking a boob, that it was a fake breast that was there. And she told me that her husband was like, bring that shit home. He's like, don't leave that goddamn on set. Bring that shit home.
Oh wow. John Griffin, one of the guys that created this show, is a Magic the Gathering series that he is in post-production that's going to be out, a television series about the Magic the Gathering game. That's right. Awesome. I love Magic Gathering. I'm trying to figure out which one worked on The Sopranos, but he's working on a Magic the Gathering series.
Yeah, no, the Don does not kiss and tell. I'm a grown up. All right. Let me explain. The Don don't kiss and tell. I'm a grown up. My business is my own. I don't tell nobody nothing. That's the way I get down. I ain't about that life. All right. The one thing you learn growing up in Queens, New York, when I grew up out there, at least in my time and shit. Number one thing you learn is mind your fucking business. All right, that's what you learn. Mind your business. Number 2, keep your mouth shut.
Yep.
That's it. That's the way. That's what I grew up. That's what all of the people who are older than me taught me. And I'm not just talking about black people. I'm talking about Jewish people, Italian people, all taught me. Mind your business and keep your mouth shut.
The fuck up, yeah.
And that's it. And you'll be fine in this life. That's it. And I go by those rules. I've lived by those rules my whole life. I mind my fucking business and I keep my mouth shut. I don't squeal on nothing. I don't screenshot people's text messages and send them. That's not my style. I don't do shit like that. That's some bullshit right there. That's little kid bitch ass shit. Anyone who does anything like that, I got no respect for you. You know what I mean? Anything said between me and Phil, me and Elamar, or anyone I talk to, that's where it stay. As we said about the con, what happens at the con stays at the con, right? That's just the way it goes, man. My whole life is Vegas, baby. And that's what it is. But all right, we're going to get up out of here. 2 hours is up and everything else. I'll be back on Wednesday, hopefully with Elamar. And we'll go through some more theories and everything else. We're gonna keep it going. We're gonna keep it going. You know what I mean? That's the way we do it and so like that. Yeah, same thing with After Dark. What I say on After Dark or have on After Dark stays on After Dark. Gotta do another After Dark. We gotta get that After Dark going. You gotta get it going. We gotta get it going.
It's the season for it. The season
it is the season for that.
Is the late night winter
hours. If anyone don't know what the After Dark is the show we do when we talk about relationships and we play games and very truthful about it. A lot of sex type talk and everything else, and we're very truthful about it and all that stuff and all that. So it's a really good time, and we're drunk usually, and it's just a great time. Subscribe to Feel the Issues guys channel.
Thank you.
All right, link is in the description. He'll be back there and everything. Yeah, it's only adults only on there, and all that stuff and all that. You know, make sure you subscribe to Feel the Issues guys channel. Subscribe to the Don Tony Teflon stuff. Thank y'all all for rocking with us as always. Make sure you thumbs up this video. I'm gonna be here for you, man. I'm gonna keep rocking with you. I will see y'all on Wednesday night. Until then, you know what it is. Peace and stay safe.